So this morning we begin the season of Advent. Now, in our culture, these are the times that we are bombarded with messages that there's only 23 more shopping days. What is a shopping day anymore? That used to make sense when things were closed. I guess now it's only 23 more days. But still, we find ourselves in this flurry of activity, of getting ready, of buying, of preparing, of decorating, and it is, quite frankly, soul-sapping in many ways, isn't it? Now, maybe you're one of those people who loves all of the busyness before Christmas. I'm not one of them. Now, I've got to say, these days, now that I'm working as a chaplain, my life is totally different because I don't have all of the additional Advent workshops and adult education activities and carol sings and, well, you know how it can be, don't you? And so for me, in many ways, this is my first Christmas in a good many years that I'm experiencing it at the same rate as the rest of humanity. Just as a side note, I know that as you get ready to have your new interim minister start and as you begin to vision towards having your next settled pastor, remember that the seasons of Advent and Lent that everyone else thinks of as holidays are seasons of additional work. I've often joked that pastors should get all the Jewish holidays off because our own holidays are the opposite of holidays. Anyway, though, we're in this season of preparation, of waiting for the advent or the coming of Christ into the world. And it's one of those funny seasons because on the one hand, we all know exactly when we're going to celebrate Jesus' birth, December 25th, unless you're Orthodox, and it's a little bit later. But there's another piece to it. For we celebrate not only a historical event, but we celebrate the promise of the coming of Christ into the world again. It's a both-and season of preparation. And that's what hangs us up in some ways. We talk about an event, and we forget a process. And on top of it, we're just bad at waiting. Aren't we? I mean, have you ever stood in line behind somebody at an ATM? That takes like almost a minute. And it's the longest minute there is in the world. Because you can't even get up close to them. You have to hang back so they don't think you're trying to steal their PIN. Or being in the drive-thru at a fast food place and being the second car in line. Man, that stinks. It's fast food. And we're still upset at how long it takes. Of course, maybe we would be better served if instead of fast food, we sat down with our families, spent some time around the table. But that's a different sermon. The truth of the matter, though, is we don't like to wait. And we especially don't like to wait if we don't know how long things are going to be. Have you ever noticed that at the grocery store, when you get in line, that line next to you moves faster? Always. And if you were to switch lines, you know that the line you were in would start moving. A recent study showed that people prefer, instead of getting in individual lines, to get in a single feeder line. When you reach the end, one of the people will say, "Next, please," because we sense justice in that. We all know we have to wait just one more. But if we don't know how long that wait's going to be, it drives us nuts. I remember one Thanksgiving a good many years ago when my family was living in Pennsylvania. We were driving to Connecticut, where we had lived previously, for Thanksgiving with friends. And my son Ian, who was maybe 5 or 6 at the time, started to ask the question. You know the question, don't you? Dad, how much longer until we get there? Now remember, this was Thanksgiving, and we were in Thanksgiving traffic. If I recall correctly, we were somewhere around Stamford, where the traffic simply doesn't move even on a good day. But my son had gotten used to the answer that I would usually give when asked, when will we get there? I don't know, Ian. And so he quickly changed his question. Mid-question, he shifts gears and he asks, Dad, how many miles is it from here to Portland? It's a good question. It's a better question, isn't it? Because now he's got information. And even though it's going to feel like 1,000 miles the way the traffic's going, he at least has a number. He can do his own math. He can figure for himself how long it's going to be, how many more songs he's going to be listening to on his iPod, and he can get through the journey easily. Advent's a lot like that. We know how many miles it is from here to Christmas. We know how great the distance is from the way the world is now to the way the world should be when Christ reigns. We can plot it on our mental maps. And that helps us plan our journey. But we shouldn't rush it all the same. There's a story about a Buddhist monk who is visiting New York. And his guide for the day was explaining to him that if they caught the trains just right, if they made a really close connection at Grand Central, they could save 10 minutes on their journey uptown. Sure enough, they made the connection. They stepped off one train, stepped right onto the next. No waiting, and even found a seat. Once they'd completed their journey and they started up the stairs, the monk was beaming. His guide was beaming. They came to the top, and the monk sat down on a park bench. What are you doing? His guide asked. Well, since we saved 10 minutes, I thought I should put it to good use. And he sat there resting, collecting himself, and preparing for the speaking event that they were headed towards. If Advent is a season of waiting, how do we put the season of waiting to good use? How do we grow peace in the ways that both keep us centered and that also share that peace with the world? In this busy season, as we drive frantically from store to store, searching for gifts, running in and out and purchasing things that will quickly be forgotten, logging onto the internet to search for the very best prices on gifts, perhaps there's another way. An old-fashioned way that helps to center us in the real meaning of this season of preparation and celebration. Instead of buying, perhaps we would be better served. Perhaps our loved ones would be better served. Perhaps the world would be better served if we paused and asked ourselves just how much we really need the stuff that we're setting out to buy, just so we can give it away. The other night I was talking with my mother about Christmas presents and about how hard it is to come up with gifts that people really want. Things that people need. After all, how many of us actually need whatever's in that box? Maybe, instead of spending our money on plastic junk made in sweatshops in China and sold by huge American corporations that have to take up collections to give their own employees food baskets, maybe this is the year to give some organic, shade-grown, fair-trade coffee that protects the environment, that pays workers a living wage, and that doesn't clutter up people's homes or end up in a landfill. Maybe this is the year to bake our own gifts. Maybe this is the year of making gifts in honor of our loved ones to organizations like Heifer Project, or Bread for the World, or Amnesty International, or Church World Service, so that our gifts benefit people who really need them, while simultaneously celebrating the birth of Christ and our love for those around us in whose honor we give them. Maybe this is the year for growing peace as we await the birth of Christ. The prophet Isaiah preached to the people about peace. They shall beat their swords into pruning hooks, or rather their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, because Isaiah wrote much better than I can speak. He speaks of the day when nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. One scholar says about prophets that they are the people who see the present in the light of God's future. And so Isaiah speaks to that future, of that time of peace to come. So let us live in that now that is illuminated by God's future. Let us live as people of peace now. Let us welcome all into worship now. Let us provide food for the hungry now. Sisters and brothers, this is a most wonderful time of the year, as the song goes. Not because of the gifts, not because of tinsel and evergreen, but because of the presence of God. The presence that clothes us as though we were armored in light, that protects us from the things around us. That presence that helps us to wear Christ on our own faces and to see Christ in the face of those around us. Let us, as people of Advent, wait and watch. Let us look at the map and count the miles. Let us plan our journeys. Let us beat our swords into the plowshares and our spears into pruning hooks. And let us use those new tools. Let us use them for